Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Milenga TV for your Match Week 21 review, the second part of Match Week 21. There were 5 games earlier last weekend, and this past weekend we had another 4 games. There's still one game to be played, that's between Wolves and Brighton. We'll be paying a closer look to that game later on tonight, and we'll see how Wolves and Brighton get on. But yeah, for the second part of Match Week 21, there were 4 games, sorry, that were played across the game week weekend. But before we get into those games, like we say, if you're new to the channel, make sure you do like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Much appreciated. Also, more AFCON content dropping this week as we come to a close of the group stage games. I know we haven't been dropping a lot of AFCON content lately. It's been very tedious, so to say, to keep up with all of the action going on, but there will be one video that summarizes all the group stages, and from the round of 16 going forward, we'll break down each and every match, what to expect from the teams, because now we have an idea of what each team that's going to make the round of 16 has to offer, and we'll see how the rest of the tournament pans out. So do keep an eye out for the AFCON content dropping soon. So right, let's get into the match week 21 review. They were, like we said, 4 games, and interestingly enough, each and every one of the 4 games yielded an average of 4 goals. So there was an average of 4 goals across all of the 4 games that were played. Kicking us off as well with the Arsenal game, them taking on Crystal Palace. They beat Crystal Palace 5-0. I think it was a much needed result for the Arsenal fan base because they were going through it in the past couple of weeks. 3 defeats in a row from West Ham, Fulham, and then Liverpool. Coming off a Liverpool result, which I thought they did play well against Liverpool. Unfortunately, they just didn't take their chances, and yeah, it culminated into a loss at the time. Went into Dubai, 2 weeks warm weather training, came back. In certain moments looked a little bit like same old Arsenal, but like I said, they had the momentum on their side. They were determined, and yeah, they decided to take care of business. Gabriel Magalhaes got the ball rolling in the 11th minute, scoring a great header as well, setting calming the nerves at the time. And yeah, they kept on probing, they kept on pushing. Should have had a second. Unfortunately, it was dubbed as a Dean Anderson own goal. Oh, own goal. I didn't quite understand it at the time because it really looked like he did actually hit the ball, so I actually felt like it was on target. It should have been given to him, but ultimately, yeah, it ended up being a Dean Anderson own goal. And excuse me. And yeah, speaking of Dean Anderson himself, I really felt like he didn't really do enough to command his box. I felt like in that position he could have been more aggressive, been more commanding. You know how it gets when you're the goalkeeper, and that most cases in that position you're protected as a goalkeeper, but he didn't really command his box at the time, so ends up giving away an easy goal. I know he can claim that Ben White was kind of backing up into him, but I don't think that was enough for a foul. And yeah, Arsenal at that time 2-0 up going into halftime. Second half they came out flying out to traps as well. A quick breakaway goal. David Raya played a very key role in releasing the ball very quickly into Gabriel Jesus. He used his pace, ran through the traps, the blocks. He set up Trossard, who cuts in, scored a very, very good goal. And at that point, Arsenal 3-0 up. Job done, looking like a comfortable game. But one player said, no, I'm leaving with something in this game. And that was Gabriel Martinelli. And, up until this point in the season, he hasn't had a very good season. I think he had about 4 goal involvements in about 19 games or so he's not really had the best season. Martinelli's had a poor season by his standards, but listen, he came up, he said I'm leaving with something. He came through, got 2 goals, 2 quite similar goals, so it was very good finishes from Martinelli. Great for him as well, picking up his confidence, getting back into goal scoring form as well. So it was very, very good for Martinelli, very, very good for Arsenal. Great result as well. They've got another 10 days or so, 9 days before they play Nottingham Forest away, which will be a very, very tricky game. And we'll see how they get along against Nottingham Forest. Speaking of Nottingham Forest, they did play as well on Saturday, and they took on Brentford in the game that was dubbed as the Ivan Toney game. The game that Ivan Toney came back in, 8 months out, banned for the betting allegations, the betting stuff. And yeah, he hadn't played the football. He hadn't kicked the football for 8 months, and he came back. It was interesting to see how he was going to get on. Would it been match fit? Would he have been ready for the game? And yeah, he looked sharp. He came back as well. his opportunity came, but before that, Brentford took the lead. Nottingham Forest took the lead. I think was it Diallo who scored in the 11th minute. Great volley outside of the box into the corner of the net. At that point, Nottingham Forest leading 1-0. But then Brentford themselves won a free kick outside the edge of the box. And if you know Ivan Toney, he's known for taking some good free kicks. And this time it was no different. It was quite interesting actually. Was as he was setting up to take the free kick. Initially, where the referee placed the ball, he just edged it a little bit to the side. Now I don't know if that's clever play. Some will say it's clever play. Some will say it's cheating. I don't know which side of the coin you're at. But yeah, he did that. Gave himself a slight advantage because it really opened up very well for him in terms of him taking it around the wall and into the bottom corner, and that's what he did, bringing back Brentford at the time 1-1 into the game, and it was a very well taken goal as well. But yeah, the game kept, or the game was very edgy, end to end stuff, and yeah, they kept on. Both sides kept on probing, both sides kept on pushing, and it was in the second half. It was Brentford who took the lead as well. Ben Mee, cross from, I think it was Neil Maupay who gave the assist, if I'm not mistaken. Crosses the ball into the box. Ben Mee with the header, and gave Brentford the lead at the time, 2-1. And yeah, looks like they were in control at the time of the game, but Nottingham Forest have been a very good team under Nuno as well. And one player in particular has really found his goal scoring form of late, and for Nottingham Forest, and that's Chris Wood. He did equalise for Nottingham Forest, making the game 2-2. Before actually Brentford scored the third goal through Neil Maupay, there was a chance for them. I think it was Muwamba. I think he had a gilt edge chance at the edge of the box, teed up by Chris Wood himself, but he just sliced the ball wide, and that was a very big chance for him as well. He did have another chance towards the end of the game, maybe not as gilt edged as the one before, but he should have done better with the chance that he was set up by Chris Wood, and ultimately that cost them because Brentford went up the other end, set up Neil Maupay. Neil Maupay took a touch, turned bang into the into the bottom corner, and yeah, he sealed a 3-2 victory for Brentford as well. Another result that was key for Brentford as well. If you look at them, they've had some very notable absentees in their squad. Wissa, Toney, who's just come back now, and Boemo's still injured. So once they start getting some of these firepower players back, Wissa, of course, at the AFCON, doing very well with Congo as well, they will actually mount a threat, Brentford. So it was a very good result for them as well, as they strive to climb back up the table in this second half of the season. So we'll keep a closer eye on them and see how they get on. Into Sunday's games as well, we had two games on Sunday. The first game that kicked us off was the game between Sheffield United and West Ham. Game ended 2-2. Interesting game actually. 2-2, two sending offs in the game. Very interesting game. I think very interesting game. I think West Ham United got the ball rolling as well with Maxwell Cornet. I thought he was going to go to AFCON, but he stuck around with West Ham. I don't think he was recalled. I think he plays for the Ivory Coast. I don't think he was recalled by the Ivory Coast. But yeah, Maxwell Cornet got the first goal, got the ball rolling. And yeah, it was 1-0 to West Ham at the time as well, but then there was a goal from the debutant Diaz as well. Scored a good goal. It was his debut, so he did well to equalize for them at the time and make the game 1-1. But West Ham won a penalty in the second half of the game. Penalty taken by James Ward-Prowse, always known for his good free kicks as well, but he can take his pens as well. So fair play to him. James Ward-Prowse making the game 2-1 at the time. And yeah, at that point, it really looked like West Ham was in control, and that's where the whole drama kicked off now. And Ryan Brewster as well, formerly of Liverpool, he just came back from a knee injury, I'm told, and he got himself sent off as well. It was a red card in my opinion. I thought he was a bit rash. When you look at that one, of course they always look worse in slow motion, but if you look at that as well, he was always going to get sent off. So Ryan Brewster really didn't cover himself in glory in that moment. A little bit of rush of blood to the head, just come back from injury. Obviously he's eager to get on with the game, and he got himself sent off in that moment. But West Ham themselves had a player sent off. I believe it was Kufau who got sent off for West Ham, and at that point it leveled things up at 10v10, and Sheffield United felt the momentum shift, and they came back into the game. Ball into the box, goalkeeper came off, foul on McBurney won the penalty. McBurney took the penalty, he scored, make the game 2-2. Yeah, West Ham fans do feel aggrieved as well with the VAR decisions, as we've been seeing some, very questionable calls in the VAR game. But ultimately, that game ended up 2-2 between Sheffield United and West Ham. And in the other game, between Liverpool and Bournemouth, I actually thought this was potentially a banana skin for Liverpool. I really did feel like, it was one of those games. Bournemouth has been in great form. So I did actually think that they were going to be the team that was going to, potentially be a banana skin or potential banana skin slip up or trip up for Liverpool. But Liverpool made light work of them as well, beating them 4-0. 2 goals for Diego Jota, 2 goals for Darwin Nunes. He's really done he's really done well in terms of proving his critics wrong. I mean, he's got so far this season he's got 13 goal involvements, that's 7 goals and 6 assists. He's really racking up the numbers. I know sometimes he's known for his incredible misses, because sometimes he does all of the hard work, but when it just comes to goal scoring and making the chance very easier for himself, he just seems to make it tougher. But yeah, he's really done well this season. He got himself 2 goals as well. Diego Jota as well get himself 2 goals. I mean, Jota, what a clutch player. He's really a very reliable player. Funny enough, Jeremy Carragher came out this today and say he's Liverpool's best ever or most clinical finisher, ahead of Suarez, Torres, and them, man. So that's an interesting call. I still rate Suarez just that little bit higher, but that's his opinion. But yeah, one thing you can't deny Liverpool is that Jota is a very, very key player. I think he's one player that you can rely on in certain moments, and he came off the bench this time around, changed the game, and sorry, he didn't come off the bench. He started, and he's made a knack of coming off the bench as well and changing the game. So he's such a very, very key player for Liverpool, especially in a time when they've got injuries and they've got players that have gone to either the Asia Cup in Endo and Afcon in Salah, who has been recorded, by the way. So he's going to begin his rehabilitation for that injury he picked up in the Ghana game. So it'll be interesting to see how, and we'll be monitoring that Salah injury news. But yeah, Liverpool as well getting the job done. Like I said, it was a game that could have been tricky. It was a game I did feel like Bournemouth maybe could have had something, maybe a draw, maybe Liverpool could have lost, but Liverpool handled it, weathered the storm as well. And we also have to give credit to that Konate Van Dijk partnership. I really do feel like the two are underrated. They go under the radar, they fly under the radar, but they've been actually quite solid this season. So I want to give them props for that. So Van Dijk, Konate as well, what a partnership, and shaping up very, very well. And yeah, Liverpool getting the job done. Took them 48 points in the league. They took them 5 points clear of Manchester City, 5 points clear of Arsenal, and Villa as well should be on the same number of points if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so yeah, Liverpool doing their part, doing their bit. Of course, Manchester City has a game in hand, so it would be very, very interesting to see how this title race shapes up. It's still very, very wide open, but yeah, ultimately they will be happy, and they'll be thrilled to be 5 points clear, and yeah, hopefully they can keep on the good form, because of course some tough games coming up for Liverpool as well. Chelsea next in the league. I think they I don't know who they play in the FA Cup. Not pretty sure who they play in the FA Cup this coming weekend, but in the league next game is Chelsea, and then after that is Arsenal. So they've got some pretty tough games coming up, and we'll see how they do handle themselves or how they get about in those games, because of course, like we said, they haven't had Szoboszlai. Trent might be back for the Chelsea game. I'm not sure how long he's out for. Salah as well now with the injury. We don't know how that situation is gonna play out. Endo, will he be back by then in terms of the Asia Cup? So yeah, they've got some notable absentees, Liverpool, but one thing that Simicas, if you want to add him to the list as well, Robertson not yet back, so they've got some very, very notable absentees. And once this Liverpool squad is back in full effect, I mean, they're gonna be a problem. But we'll see how they'll weather the storm. I mean, they've got some good players, like I said, Darwin Nunes, Jota. It's your moment to step up, and this is the moment some of these players need to step up, and they need to prove that Liverpool has got that depth and that quality, not just to win games, but to go on and win the league, because they're up there right now and they are looking like one of the favorites to win the league. So that was the 4 games across the weekend. Of course, we do keep an eye on the Wolves versus Brighton game tonight and see how that gets on. But also the 4 games, of course, Liverpool still top, followed by Manchester City now in second, I think on goal difference. Arsenal in third, Villa in fourth, Spurs still in fifth, from that 2-2 result against Manchester United last weekend. So yeah, it's been a very, very, very interesting game week. Of course, prior to that weekend, of course, we did see Burnley and Luton Town play out to a 1-1 draw. Amdouni and Toney getting the goal for Burnley in that game. Interesting VAR call as well in that game. I do feel like the foul was there was a foul in the lead up to the Luton goal, but unfortunately, the apparently the ref didn't see it that way. So ultimately, the goal stood, or VAR didn't see it that way, and ultimately the goal stood. So it was an interesting game. Of course, Chelsea, like we did cover in the match reaction, beating Fulham 1-0, and the game, probably one of the game of the weekend last weekend when De Bruyne came in. De Bruyne shone for Manchester City. They beat Newcastle 3-2 as well. Sunday's games, Villa and Everton played out to a 0-0 draw. And the game of the big Super Sunday game between Manchester United and Spurs ended 2-2. So those were the games, and that was makes up the 9 games of match week 2021. And yeah, we've come to the end of our video. Like we always say, make sure you like, share, subscribe on the channel, all of that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next match week review, people. Take care and peace.